That's such a snazzy show open, isn't it, gang? I love it every time I see it and I hear that music. It means we got to go to work. It's the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series. I'm your host, Jim Masters. And yes, I'm actually here. There I am. But we've got a special guest. Barry Lee Moe is joining us from Los Angeles, from Hollywood, from California. He's a renowned celebrity hairstylist to the stars. Matter of fact, he just worked with Jennifer Lopez. 10 years with Tori Amos on Pose as well. He's a 2-time Emmy winning, 5-time Emmy nominated celebrity hairstylist. His work is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. We're going to show you some of the work. We have some exclusive photos and other cool things that Barry has shared with us here on the Jim Masters Show live series, which we appreciate. We have a mutual friend in the wonderful artist Glenn Hansen. Of course, you know Glenn was on our show recently. If you didn't see that episode, check that episode out on our YouTube channel, and hundreds more, almost 900 more episodes that we have for your binge watching pleasure. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. This is your host, Jim Masters. Happy holidays. It's so great to have you guys here. Hope you're doing well. Hope your holiday season is going well. Hope your shopping is going well for Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and for the New Year. We have a few more things we still have to pick up before we gather with everybody. It's been very busy. Today was just today was one of those crazy nutty days. And I don't know about you, but I have been accelerating the days. People will tell you, Jim will say that it's Friday when it's really Thursday. And I think ever since the pandemic, I've been accelerating the weeks and accelerating the days, even in the calendar with the dates. I'm like, is it the 14th or is it the 13th? I guess I'm rushing things because we want to get to Christmas, spending time with family and friends and loved ones at the holiday season. Hope your holiday season is going well. Thanks so much for being with us. Look at our festive set. We always have a beautiful festive set for the holiday season. And then, of course, we change it up based on what's going on. Valentine's Day, this whole thing is red. I'm wearing red. I mean, we do a lot of cool things. This is an entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series. If you're your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the Lovity family. And this is Lovity Hall, our Lovity Hall studio for JMS. And we started the show 2.5 years ago. We're approaching some 900 episodes. And our viewers, who are called Lovities, they watch from all around the world. And a matter of fact, they are commenting right now in the JMS Lovity chat room. What is the JMS Lovity chat room, you ask? Thanks for asking. When the show is on airing, you have an opportunity to chat with each other and even with us. Sometimes we might even show a couple of your comments on the screen while the show is on, which is really cool and exclusive. A lot of people don't do that, but I'm an interactive host, so I like to bring in our viewers as if they are the studio audience. We don't necessarily have a studio audience on the other side of the cameras and lights. So the folks that are watching through the internet, in the clouds, you guys are the studio audience, part of our Lovity squad. We have a lot of comments already built up. Welcome, everybody. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. That's the channel where all these shows happen. If you subscribe, it doesn't cost anything. Just click the red subscribe button. You get to actually chat in the JMS Lovity chat room with each other, say hi to each other. A lot of you have become friends because of our show. Since we turned the lights on, a lot have become friends. We've become friends with a lot of you as well. And you can chat with each other and say happy holidays and exchange cookie recipes, whatever else you want to do, talk hairstyles, and just have a good time with us. Welcome, everybody. Busy day. We had a TV shoot. I got a TV shoot tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the morning. We had multiple radio shows and just getting ready for the holidays too. It's been a nutty, crazy time. And then one of our pipes, plumbing, we had to have a plumber come because one of the pipes started dripping. And we're like, not now. It's holiday time. See family. Don't start dripping now. So we had to call a plumber. How everything sometimes hits all at the same time. And then you have to go for a glass of wine to let it all sort of shake out. Well, today was one of those days. I'm excited because we have Barry Lee Moe with us. And again, he's an extraordinary, talented person. Originally from Wisconsin, then lived in Chicago, New York. Now he makes his home the last 4 years in Los Angeles, California. And again, he's really extraordinary at what he does. Celebrity hairstylist based in Los Angeles and New York. He recently won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Contemporary Hairstyling for season 3 of Pose on FX. That's right. He previously won an Emmy for Outstanding Period Hairstyling for his work on Netflix's Hollywood, and has been nominated for a total of 5 Emmys. That's right. He won the 2020 Makeup Artists and Hairstylist Guild Award for Best Hairstyling for Commercials and Music Videos for Pose Season 2. Isn't that cool? Absolutely. And in addition to that, he also, well, his work can be seen on television programs like Sneaky Pete and Rent Live, Odd Mom Out, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Pam and Tommy. Matter of fact, we had a couple of the actors and actresses from Pam and Tommy here on our show as guests. And of course, the upcoming Chippendales episodic for Hulu. He was working with he was the personal stylist for Jennifer Lopez on the new movie Atlas for Netflix. You're going to want to see that. And prior to his work in TV and film, the department head he was for several Broadway shows, including After Midnight, On Your Feet, Rock of Ages, and Honeymoon in Vegas. Really, really cool stuff. His work extends to the music industry, again, where he has worked, as a personal stylist and makeup artist to recording legend Tori Amos for over 10 years. And again, his work is absolutely extraordinary. It's exemplary. And we're going to talk more about all of it. Not only did he work for Tori Amos for 10 years, he's a graduate of the Royo Studio in New York and a union member, leading department head in the industry. And he loves what he does. And he got the memo. The last couple of guests, the last few nights, I think they got the memo that it's nice to have a little Christmas tree next to you. So guess what? That's what he has. And we're going to welcome him here live in this festive holiday mood from Los Angeles, California. Here's the incomparable Barry Lee Moe on the Jim Master Show. Barry, welcome to the show and happy holidays, my friend.
Hi, Jim. Thank you so much. It is random that I picked the tree today. I just thought this was a good spot to sit.
It's just absolutely perfect. I tell you, it's becoming like a theme. I love it. Happy holidays. And you and I were chatting, we chat, I tell the audience, we chat with our guests, about 15 minutes before the show. If they're going to sing, we do sound checks, all that cool stuff. And we were talking, and you're going to take a little time for the holidays and sort of refresh and reboot. And it's a beautiful thing because you're so extremely busy.
Yeah, it's a rare opportunity to take time like this. I mean, we're so conditioned to jumping onto the next project because as artists, you're just always afraid that your last job was, the last job.
Yeah.
So when someone presents you with another opportunity, you have a hard time saying no. But, the more I work in this business, the more I realize that our time is important because you really do have to regenerate after project after project, because I've gone back to back to back since post season 3. I went from that right into Pam and Tommy, right into Chippendales. I just keep going nonstop, which is great. I love working and I love creating, but you do need to take that quiet time at home just to be.
To breathe, to reconnect, right, with loved ones, friends, and not have to necessarily be Barry Lee Moe. Just relax, and we're going to do that over the holidays as well. And it's counting the days must be why I'm rushing the days. I keep saying Thursdays are Fridays, Mondays are Tuesdays. I guess we're rushing just to get to that time to be able to decompress and relax, especially in these industries that we're in that are quite demanding and sometimes unpredictable and a lot of hours, a lot of personal, emotional investment we make because what we're doing really represents a good deal of who we are as people through the work that we do. If you're a creative person, definitely your stamp is on everything. And that takes a lot of stamina and tenacity and patience and passion to do it. How did you grew up in Wisconsin? You mentioned in the Madison area. It's a wonderful place, Wisconsin. How did you first get introduced to this world of um, hairstyles and all of it, beauty? What was the entree for you early on in your experience, your life's journey, Barry?
I mean, my journey was pretty untraditional. I didn't see this in my future at all. I wanted to be an actor, and I was involved in theater all growing up and music and sang all the time and went to school for performance in La Crosse, Wisconsin at a school called Viterbo University. And that's when I met this costume designer doing work study who changed my life. I was sewing in the costume shop there, and I knew how to sew for my mother. So I figured that was a good way to make some money towards my tuition. And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And he just said, "Would you be interested in designing some wigs for this upcoming main stage production?" And I thought, sure, because I had always done my mom and my sister's hair for fun growing up. We would play beauty parlor at home, and it was never anything I took seriously, but I guess it was in me. So I started designing in college, and the first show I designed was this old Gilbert and Sullivan musical, and it was really magical, and it just completely took me by storm. I knew at that moment that this was something I wanted to pursue. And from there, I finished my degree in performance, but I spent all of my free time working towards a career in hair and makeup, specifically design oriented work. So my summers were spent doing internships at opera companies, and it just sort of snowballed from there. I worked all over the country at regional opera companies doing hair and makeup for all of these amazing productions, and then wound up in New York eventually. And that's when I started building wigs for Broadway designers, where we actually were building, from scratch every wig that you see on stage, New York, for all the Broadway shows. And that really kind of created a foundation for me. And from there, I started department heading Broadway shows, and it just became a career. Like, I looked back all of a sudden and was like, oh, wow, this is what I'm doing with my life, I guess. But it was magical. And I think this professor, Jeffrey Stoltz, who's no longer with us, but he really jump started that journey for me. And educators have this really unique gift of showing us what we're meant to do without us knowing that they're there to show us. We look at teachers sometimes as people who are, just wasting our time. We want to get out of school and do
Right,
do
right.
the things we want to
Do the
do, but
actual things. Yeah.
they're actually, guiding us, and you meet these little angels along your journey that show you who you are. And if I'd never met him or spent time in that costume shop, I don't know where I'd be today.
Wow, that's amazing. So, sometimes those little things that happen in life become major things, major moments, and you sort of follow your heart, follow your dreams, and go forward based on things like you just described, which is really very inspiring too. So, how did you? Were you always, enamored by those you saw on television and in movies? Were you following along with how they looked and how they dressed and how they were styled over the years as well?
Yeah, I was always a really creative person. All through school, I was always in the sort of gifted and talented artist programs that they would have from elementary school on. So whether it was painting or drawing, or doing crafts, my sister and I would always do these crazy productions in our backyard. Like, we were always creating things. And
You
I
did
think
that
that comes
too.
from,
Yeah. Plays and all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
where you're building sets out of things in your garage. And
Yeah.
my parents encouraged it because they were both creative people too. So I think that that exposure early on, just continued. And then when I got into college, I really started to look at design differently. And, I went to school, college started in the late 90s. So this is before Instagram, Facebook, the internet, really. And all we had to reference were books and magazines. So I spent a lot of my time looking through beautiful art books and looking to nature and things that I would see in real life, paintings, things like that for inspiration, because we didn't have the references that we have today, where you can, in Wisconsin especially, we didn't have access to fashion and the things that were going on in the major metropolitan areas. Like, we didn't see that kind of stuff because we didn't have access. My parents got, Ladies Home Journal and Town and Country magazine. I
Right,
wasn't seeing a
exactly.
lot of
Yeah,
fashion driven
McCall's
stuff
and
there.
Woman's
Yeah,
Day and Better Homes and Gardens and right,
exactly.
TV Guide.
So, yeah, I mean, but I did watch a lot of TV and movies growing up, and I was always, fascinated by the design, the production design of these projects. And specifically, Ryan Murphy was someone that I always, from his very early shows, I was always fascinated by his process. I thought, how does someone create these worlds, like, and tell these stories? Because it wasn't just the stories he was telling, it was these entire worlds around these people that he was building. And,
Yeah,
little did I know that I'd get to work with him years later, but he was someone that always stood out to me as someone who really got it, like, was really telling these stories in a beautiful way.
that's amazing. That's really, really cool. What would you consider, when you look at it, what was one of the major breaks or opportunities that opened up the door for you where people started noticing your talent and your capabilities?
I was really on Pose season one. I had done a little bit of TV. Now, keep in mind, I've only been doing TV for 5 years now. Before that, I'd been working on Broadway for 10 years and back and forth between Broadway and touring with Tori Amos. So I had no experience or real work that I had done yet in television. And it wasn't until 5 years ago when I decided to just kind of quit Broadway completely and jump into TV that I started to day play on some shows and kind of start networking with people. And that's when I did a few smaller shows and eventually got to know the right people when I got the call to do Pose, which I was the key hairstylist for the first season, for the first 4 episodes, for a gentleman named Chris Clark, who has, designed and created the worlds for a lot of Ryan's shows like Feud, Versace, Ratchet. He's a real genius. And I got to work as his right hand man, and he
Mm,
saw something in me and trusted me to take over Pose after he needed to leave to go do another project for Ryan. And that's when Pose became mine.
mm.
And that was the first time that I was really truly in charge of creating this world and building these characters from the ground up. And, I have Ryan Murphy and Chris to thank for that, because they really saw something in me and trusted me to go on this journey with them. And Pose
Yeah.
ended up becoming this life-changing event that went on for 3 seasons, and we were, noticed by everyone and nominated for Emmys, and we ended up winning an Emmy for our final season, which was just kind of the perfect cap to such a beautiful journey. And Michaela J, who's here, she is someone that I had known for almost 10 years prior to Pose happening. We had done the off-Broadway revival of Rent at New World Stages in New
Mm.
York that Michael
Oh,
Greif
yeah.
directed. And she was starring in that, and we became really good friends then. And little did either of us know that we'd come back together. And when season one of Pose came around, I was just curious, who are they going to find to play these women? And I was curious who they were going to cast. And when I finally saw the cast list and I saw Michaela's name on there, it was such a crazy full circle moment,
It's
because both
amazing,
of
right?
us had no idea that our lives would go in this direction when we were doing Rent at this tiny little theater off Broadway.
Mm.
And then, 10 years later, she's sitting in my chair, and, now she's a Golden Globe winner and has done all these amazing things. And now we're doing a TV show again together, for Apple TV, Loot, which season 1 was out, you know, last year, and we're starting season 2 in a couple weeks.
That is so cool. You were mentioning, 10 years with Tori Amos. How did that all happen? That's incredible. There's a great shot there. Looks amazing.
That was another one of those wild universe delivering something to me
Ye-
that I wasn't,
Yeah.
even aware that was a possibility. I was working in Miami at the time at an opera company, Florida Grand Opera, and I was broke. I was an intern and making very little money, but learning a craft. And I was so grateful to be there because I was really refining a skill set. But I was sitting at this little coffee shop, before I had to go into work one day, and I got a call from a random number. And I always say, when you see a random number that you don't know, always pick it up because it might be a life changing opportunity. Usually it's a
Mhm.
scam call, but you never know.
Yeah. Right.
And this one was one of her managers, and they asked if I would be interested in being interviewed to go on tour with Tori Amos. And I knew nothing. I knew some of Tori's music, but I was so naive to the fact of who she was and what she did that I was like, surely they're not asking me to do her hair and makeup. She must have background dancers. That's what I was guessing. And they said, no, they want you to be with her. Like, you're gonna work with her. And I said, okay, like, yeah, of course I'll interview for it. So I sent over the limited portfolio that I had at the time, which was some photo shoots I had done with friends on rooftops in New York, nothing professional. It was very embarrassing when you look back at it now, but they saw something in me, and then they asked me to fly out to England to meet her and do a test. So I left the country for the first time and went to London, took the train down to Cornwall, and went to her studio down there. And we did a shoot for something for AOL, and it was all super overwhelming because I'd never done anything like that before. But I just, like, always being this like Midwestern raised boy who just, we always put in the work and show up regardless because that's just how we grew up. I went for it, and it ended up turning into a 10-year relationship that only ended because I decided to pursue the TV career, and TV kind of started happening for me. And Tori and I had a long talk about it. In London, we were getting ready to go to Milan for the Gucci fashion show a few years ago. She was performing, and we are so connected, and she's such a magical person that we were sitting there getting ready and just kind of talking about the future. And
Mm.
she instinctively started asking me about TV and how it was going. And I didn't even have to tell her that I was considering kind of not going on tour again the next time with her. She said, the music industry's dead. Um, she's like, the TV world is where it's at right now. And she's like, if you have a chance to get on that TV train, she's like, those doors only open once and you need to get on that train. And she's like, I will always be here. We will always be friends and we will work together again. But this is your moment. And she's so intuitive in that sense that she, in that moment, gave me permission to pursue my own dreams. And not everyone is like that. She's someone that is selfless and supports the people around her. So we've since done things together and we talk all the time, but you know, I really kind of had to stay with this TV moment because it was not something that I ever thought would happen. And now I'm just kind of planning to keep pushing.
Was it tough when you decided to leave the stage, leave Broadway, and move west? Was that tough for you, having all those relationships and being a part of the energy of Broadway?
There's something about live theater that is indescribable. create this family and you do this show together every day and you have so much fun, and it really is a family vibe. And speaking of family, my dog is
I can
singing
hear.
to me. One
Yes.
second.
Yeah. That is some
She's like,
singing. Sounds like
she's
a
singing.
tenor or soprano or an alto.
I'm not sure what she's
What's
doing.
what's her name?
Dinah, is her name.
Dinah.
She's a 12-year-old blind Italian Greyhound. I have 3 dogs. They're all Italian Greyhounds.
Dinah. See the USA in a Chevrolet.
But theater was my home. That's all I ever knew. I did it all growing up, went to school for it, and that's what, really built a foundation for me in New York, and that's where all my connections were. But I got to a certain point where I was realizing that I was doing someone else's work 8 shows a week, and I wanted to be doing my own work, because on Broadway, when you run a department,
You're following what they have.
Yeah, there's a designer that designs the look for the show, and then you facilitate it and maintain it and make sure that everything looks great 8 shows a week. But it wasn't that I was resentful, but I just felt a little creatively drained. Like
You
I
need more of a
wasn't,
creative outlet. Yeah.
yeah. So it was hard to walk away, but I knew as an artist that I needed to, allow myself to flourish and start a new chapter. So it was ultimately the best thing that I ever did.
So that's 4 years ago you moved to the West Coast, huh?
Yep.
And when you did, was there work waiting for you already? Was there a project already in place? Or did you have to, spread the name, hand out the business cards and say, I'm here? How did it work for you?
Well, I was fortunate because I came out here with Sneaky Pete. We had done the first 2 seasons in New York, and the 3rd season, Giovanni Ribisi wanted to do it in LA because he's based here. So they moved the whole cast out here. And Margot Martindale, actually, who I did on the show, she was a huge advocate for me, and she really was instrumental in convincing the producers that I needed to be a part of it out here in LA. And, they said, we can't spend the money on it. You're just going to have to be all on your own. We can't guarantee that it's going to work out. And I said, look, I'm willing to take the chance. This is a rare opportunity, because getting into the union in LA is different than New York. It's 2 separate unions. So you don't get to just like magically transfer. It's not a nationwide union. You have to get into each one separately. So when you have a producer request or an actor request to come into a production in another city, it's a great way to get into the union, because you kind of have a free pass in. You still have to put in the time and pay your dues and meet all the requirements, but it's a little less difficult to get in. So because of Margot, she got them to greenlight it, and I packed up, moved out here, got a home base, got my license in California, and just made sure I was on the ground and worked with the producers to make it happen. And they were so great to advocate for me. And I got into the union a couple months after I got out here, and we did Sneaky Pete season 3. And then the jobs just kind of started happening through my connections from New York. Rent Live was happening just right after Sneaky Pete happened. So
that's right.
It was like such a nice transition, because I went from one to the next, and
that was quite a thing, Rent
fortunate.
Live, to be a part of that. When you heard about that happening live, what did you think? And again, it was something else on Fox.
Well, that was a production that Angela Went, the costume designer, she did the original design for the Broadway show. She and I had worked together on many of the tours. I'm sorry, let me
That's
move
okay.
this dog.
Singing. The dog is singing. Dinah is singing.
She is singing.
Does Dinah play an instrument too? Or, maybe
Just
maybe Dinah says, how come he's on TV and I want to be on TV? I'm the star. I'm Dinah. Dinah wants to be seen.
She just gets nervous. She thinks that she's being left alone. But I had worked with Angela in New York and on the
Yeah.
tours, and her associate Lisa, and they designed this production as well. So they had asked me to do it, and it was a really nice reunion for us because we hadn't done the show together in a while. And a lot of we had done the show with Vanessa Hudgens previously at the Hollywood Bowl when we did it in LA a few years prior. And it was just like getting the family back together again. But it was wild. I mean, you really
Yeah.
need people who have experience in theater to pull off those live musicals, because what you see on TV is just insane, because it's a
Mm.
huge soundstage and people are
Behind
running
the
all
scenes
over,
is
behind things,
incredible,
under things,
right?
and it's
Because you got
really,
that
really fast
time
paced.
frame and everybody's watching and it's on network TV and the build up
Yeah,
and it's a one shot deal. It's not like it's
right.
on, we'll do it again tomorrow night and tomorrow night on stage. It's right then and there. And you can see it. You can see all the changes and the cameras moving and everything going on with all of the different ones that they've brought to bear on network TV. Do you like that whole concept of bringing the shows, live in that way?
I did. It was really exciting. I mean, you rehearse it for so many weeks leading up to it, and our situation was actually really interesting because the Saturday night before we went live on Sunday, we do a final dress rehearsal. They bring in the crowd, they're all amped up, and they do a taping of it as a backup taping. And right at the end of the show that night, we were almost done. There's a moment when Roger, who was played by Brennan Hunt, left through this strange staircase, and we heard a crash, and he wasn't at his next entrance. And we stopped, and all of us were a bit panicked because we didn't know what was going on. Huge soundstage, and it turned
Boom.
out that he had missed a step and kind of sprained his ankle essentially. So he was able to get through the last number, but then the next morning we're all there hours early prepping everything for the live show, and we get the notice that we're not going to be doing the live show, that they're going to use the taping from the night before, and we'll still do a live concert that they're going to tape. But what went to air was our Saturday night
Was the
performance that they
Saturday
did
night.
as an insurance taping. And it was
Yeah.
such a letdown because we were all so excited to do it. But what ended up transpiring was this amazing live concert where the cast just all sang the show for the audience, and they taped it. I hope they release that one day because it was a really kind of unplugged version of the show.
Really cool to be a part of things like that, on a regular basis. Look at this cool shot. We dug this up. Tell us about this shot, Barry. This is awesome.
Oh, so that was with Michaela J. Rodriguez again, who's on the far right, in the white dress with the big ruffle kind of stole. That was for the Vanity Fair Hollywood issue that came out last year in February. They do
Mm,
a Hollywood issue once a year,
yeah.
and she was
Cool.
featured as one of the people in that spread. So they did a series of covers. There's a series of 8 different covers that they put out of the magazine, and we were fortunate enough to do the cover shot. So we got to do a cover shot with a tiger that they shot separately, a live tiger. They didn't shoot it together.
Yeah.
And that was her cover shot. It was like on the Hollywood Boulevard with this live tiger. And then
Wow.
this was the inside spread.
Yeah.
And the day we shot it, Andrew Garfield and was there on the same day, which was cute because she and Andrew had just done Tick Tick Boom together. So it was
That's
a nice
right.
reunion for them.
That's right. Exactly. Tick Tick Boom had just come out. And I think before that, he did the Tammy Faye movie too with Jessica
Yeah.
Chastain. We had Steve Peters on, who was actually the pastor that Tammy Faye had interviewed, that the whole movie was sort of revolving around. He was on
Oh,
our
wow.
show as a guest, and I remember actually seeing that interview on PTL, the PTL Club, when that was so incredibly popular with Jim and Tammy. Here's a cool shot of yours truly, not me, Barry. That's
Oh, wow. Yeah.
welcome to Hollywood. That's a great shot.
That's
Yeah,
my backyard actually.
that's very nice. And I forget, they give some credit to the photographer. Who took that shot?
Christina Gandalf is her name, and they
Really?
do a series, me and my Emmy, every episode, every issue of Emmy magazine that comes out. On the back page, the final page, there's a me and my Emmy spread where they interview someone
Yeah.
who has previously won an Emmy, and somehow I got selected,
So
and
for the
we shot that.
Television Academy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's a nice
we
shot.
did it in my backyard in October of last year, and then it came out early this year. But
Very
it was
cool.
just fun because it's just me and her, and she just was such a great photographer. But you know, it's rare you get shots like that in your life.
No, that's a good one. We got a bunch of different things we want to show people just to show, the extraordinary talent that you have. This shot is really nice too.
Oh yeah, that was some of my early stuff from New York. I used to work with a photographer named Scott Simmons, who we did a lot of test shoots for models, and these were all some of these up and coming girls that I was trying to put my book together, and he was such a great photographer.
That's really a cool shot. There's just the two different looks and the two different, different backgrounds. Here's another great shot too.
Yeah, that was so fun.
We'll go through them, and then maybe you can tell us what we're seeing for the viewers watching. We're getting a lot of great comments, everybody. Thanks. We'll take a look at some of those in a minute. Thanks for all the great comments from the Lovities watching live around the world in the Jim Master Show. Cool shot. What is this, Barry?
This was the cast of Hollywood for Netflix.
Yeah.
So this was for Vanity Fair as well, and we actually did them all up in their hair and makeup from the TV show. So I did, for this particular shoot, I did Laura Harrier, who's the beautiful woman in the white dress. She was one of my actors on that show. I also did Patti LuPone and Maude Apatow on that show. And we had such a great time. There's Patti.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, such a great experience working with her, because she and I had worked together previously on Pose when she played the sort of Leona Helmsley inspired real estate character.
Did you ever work with her through Broadway at all?
No, I'd never worked with her on Broadway, but I was so excited. What's great about Ryan Murphy's world is that, you end up crossing paths with theater people a lot, because he does bring them into his world quite a bit.
Yeah. That's a great look and a great expression too.
Yeah, we had so much fun with that character. She wanted a different look every time she was on camera. So
yeah.
But we only had one wig for her, so I was constantly setting and resetting that wig like a madman to create all of these different looks. But it was such an inspiring project. I mean, that whole project was just beautiful from top to bottom.
Here's another cool one too. Look at this.
That's Dominique Jackson from Pose. She played Electra, who was the sort of super dominant upper class woman who kind of ran a lot of the girls. She ran one of the most successful houses in the ballroom community, and she was incredible because she and I just loved to play together with the looks. She was like my size Barbie, because I'm 6'4", and in heels she was 6'2". So
so that makes sense, because in this photo you could see the long legs and all. It's like they didn't stretch you. You're 6'4".
No, I'm actually tall.
Is there German in you from Wisconsin?
Norwegian.
Yes. Height. Absolutely.
Exactly.
That is cool. That is really great. That is a great shot, this one here, like you were saying. And so is this one.
That's Michaela J again. And Billy Porter, that's the back of his head.
Porter, yeah.
that was right before they were getting ready to do this amazing lip sync to Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Diana Ross,
Oh
in the
yeah.
final episode of the series. And they were having sort of a friendship chat right before they went on, right before Billy put his wig on. And then they went out and got rained on. And it was such a cool performance.
Yeah. This is another great shot too. Look at this one.
Dominique again. I mean, she
Yeah.
really was my muse. I mean, she let me do anything. And the costume designer, Anna Lucia McGordy, she just created these amazing looks, and she'd send me the renderings or send me photos from the fittings, and we'd just start to discuss together, like, what can we do now to top ourselves from the last time?
Yeah.
And there was always such a collaboration there between us.
This is really terrific. We showed this earlier when we were chatting, but this is a great look, great shot, huh?
Yeah, those were beautiful shots that were sort of inspired by some of the iconic 90s black and whites that were
Yeah.
being shot at the time, like Stephen Meisel. And the stylist for this shoot, like, she had all of these incredible hats and headpieces that they had custom built. And to get this shot, the hat had to be kind of wired a certain way to stay up. And it was, photo shoots are always so tricky when you get into it, but not a lot of hair in that photo, but the makeup and the headpiece were just incredible.
Yeah. Really fantastic. Again, just creating as you do, the master that you are with it all. Fantastic. Here's another great shot too. From Pose.
That's when we did a Whitney Houston lip sync,
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of season 2. It was
Right.
the iconic Star Spangled Banner performance of Whitney's, and
Mm.
Michaela's character Blanca had been in the hospital not doing well, and she mustered up the energy and came and did this epic performance of this. Started in a wheelchair and then ended up, stepping out of it. And it's one of my favorites. And her hair was long on the show, but we decided to cut it short for that particular scene
Really
just
fantastic.
to sell it even further. It was so great.
Another great one here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Pose was just one of those jobs that don't come along too often, where you have the creative license to just dive into the world of these characters. And it was, in the 80s, so we got to work with a lot of really amazing silhouettes, and the clothing was incredible. And when you're in the ballroom community, so much of their self-expression was through fashion and design. And when they had performances, it was their opportunity to express themselves freely without judgment, and to, be the people they wanted to be. And we got to just create these incredible, truly inspired designs that just stand up for the rest of time.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And sometimes people are even inspired to, do them when they see them on TV and movies, and it becomes sometimes even a trend or retro returns, and which is quite amazing oftentimes as well. Another great one. It's a good look
That
too.
was
Yeah.
Electra's dominatrix era. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was working at a Hellfire Club in New York, kind of running the place. So we got to do some
You
fun
do that
stuff with
too.
that too. I mean, the fur coats on that were incredible,
Oh
all
yeah. Look at them.
vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool in here
That was
too. Yeah.
season 1. We did a Vogue shoot, which was, you know, that was a game changer for me too. That was the first time I had ever worked on a magazine of that, size and stature. And Evan Peters and Kate Mara and James Vanderbeek,
Oh
who
yeah. From
were
Dawson's
only
Creek
in season
originally.
1 of, yep, and they
Yeah.
were only in season 1, but they were also great to work with. I worked with Kate on another project after that, and such a good group of actors we had.
Absolutely. The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt in this. Here we go. Yeah. Popular one too. It's a good
Yeah,
shot.
that was a fun show. I worked with I did Ellie Kemper's hair. I was the department head for season 3. I had worked on the first 2 seasons with my friend Liliana, who was the department head then, and she wasn't able to do the 3rd season, so I stepped in and had such a great time. Jane and Carol and Titus and Ellie, they're just such incredible actors. And when you're being kind of led by someone like Tina Fey and
Mhm.
Robert Carlock and the team from 30 Rock, every day on set was just a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a great group of people to be working with. Here's another cool
And
shot.
comedy is so much different than,
Yes, it is.
episodic drama, because especially comedy in that format, these
Yeah.
actors they're doing what's scripted, but they're also just riffing sometimes.
Right.
And the improv that happens is so fun to be witness to, because it's such a gift.
Kind of like when Harvey Korman and Tim Conway went off, where Tim Conway would go off on the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
That's
best to see that.
the absolute best. Yes. And we had Chris Corman was with us last night because we had Joaquin Garay III, who was Paco in the Herbie Goes Bananas Disney movies. He was with us yesterday. And Chris is a friend of mine and a friend of Joaquin's, and Harvey Korman is Chris's father. And we were talking about that. And, when you would watch it on the Carol Burnett show, the humor between Tim Conway riffing, going off script, which was hilarious, and they would leave it in, and Harvey's incredible reactions as he's laughing or trying not to laugh. Chris mentioned that Harvey hated when Tim would go off script, and he would sort of reprimand him after the show. You do not do that. It's a little tidbit there. But when you watched it, you didn't know any of that. Makes me
It
think
is
of,
so fun. I mean, I imagine if it goes on too long that it can get
then
frustrating,
you could
but
be, especially if you're a classically trained actor and there's a certain way you do
yeah,
things.
you want to go home and have dinner with your family.
I bet you love the episode where she comes down in the curtain rod designed
Oh
by
God, of
Bob
course.
Mackie. And
I mean, Bob Mackie did so many amazing things for her on that.
I saw it in the window and I just had to have it. Absolutely. Here's a cool.
Classic.
Now this is a great look too. Yeah, from Hollywood.
That was our promo shoot, and that was so interesting because they actually did overlay that
Sort of
negative
the yeah.
onto their face while we were shooting it, and it was tricky because they obviously could have done it in post in Photoshop, but
Yeah.
they did a overlay right on set, and it was cool to see it lined up, because it was a tricky shot to get with the
to-
lighting of the overlay and to make people look good. I mean,
Yeah.
but I think it looks cooler than it would have if they had done it in post.
Absolutely. A cool shot too.
Yeah, that's from Welcome to Chippendales, the one that just came out a couple weeks ago. So that's Nicola Pelt Beckham, who just married David and Victoria's son, Brooklyn, who's a chef.
Oh yeah.
They got married actually while we were filming this TV show earlier this year.
Did they
She
really?
played, yeah, she played the late Dorothy Stratton, one of the most famous playmates that
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a very long
Life.
journey because of her unfortunate boyfriend, Paul Snyder. And so
Yeah.
she's in this series in the first episode, because they were actually, many people don't know this, but Paul Snyder was kind of part of the laying the groundwork for the Chippendales Club with Steve Banerjee, who was the owner. And together they kind of created the idea of men taking their clothes off for women, after kind of seeing it happening at gay bars in different
Mm.
areas during the time. They were both inspired and said, what if we try this for women? And then,
And Chippendales was born
it all
as a
kind of took
result.
off.
Yeah. That's quite amazing, that story. Yeah. Here's another. That's a great shot.
That was our one of our shots for your consideration campaign for season 3 as well. Yeah, such a sad show. I mean,
Yeah.
so uplifting and so
Hmm.
funny at times, but also just, a real honest look at life in the 80s in New York.
Another great shot.
More Hollywood. That's, Samara Weaving on the left and Laura Harrier on the right. And Samara's gone on to do so many things since that show. You saw her in, what was the show with Nicole Kidman, Nine Perfect Strangers?
Oh yeah, right.
On
She was in that
Hulu,
too, huh?
Samara was in that. She's in a lot of movies, and Laura is, a model, and she's always doing campaigns and things. But we had such a great cast in Hollywood. Jeremy Pope, who was also on Pose, but he was first on Hollywood, and now he has that amazing movie Inspection that's out in theaters right now that he's getting a lot of amazing praise for with Gabrielle Union.
I mentioned that you've just been working with the stylist for Jennifer Lopez on the new Netflix movie Atlas. Tell us about that. What has that been like? It's really incredible.
That was incredible. It was my first time working as a personal in film and TV in that capacity. And I had never worked with Jennifer before. It was another one of those little universe moments where everything aligned, and I got a call to interview with her for the movie, and I did. And we hit it off, and I got hired, and we started filming the movie in September, and we just finished a few weeks ago. But it's a new movie for Netflix that's produced by her production company, New Eurekan Films, and she is the star of it. And it's a futuristic sort of sci-fi thriller that takes place probably 50 years in the future. And it's a really interesting look at just the kind of merging of artificial intelligence and humanity, and
Mm,
what that might look like in the near future, and not in a crazy super sci-fi way either. So it's a movie that really makes you think, but the majority of the film is her um, alone in on this journey into space, and it's was a really intense shoot, but because of the content and just the amount of work that she had to do. But she was such a joy to work with and such a inspiration, because she truly is, I think, one of the hardest working women in the entertainment industry, because she's not only making and starring in and producing films, she's got a music career and, a beauty line, and it's endless with her. And she, never stops working, never complains. And it's just, when you're around people like that who are so driven and have a work ethic like that, it really inspires you to be your best. And it really reminds you how much potential there is in this industry to create and accomplish and to thrive if you are willing to put in the work.
exactly right. Yeah, and she certainly has. When do they expect that to be out where people can see it?
It should be out because it is a action futuristic movie. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in post, because we shot a
Hmm.
lot of it on green screen.
Yes,
So
right.
there is a quite a long post production process. So I think that it would be out at some point, maybe probably around this time next year.
Cool. So keep an eye out for that. That's Atlas, right? Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah, Atlas for Netflix, and it's also starring Sterling K. Brown and Simu Liu.
That's cool. We'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll see more of Barry's work in that, which is awesome. Cool shot here.
Kelly Kemper, Kimmy Schmidt,
It's it, right?
Eternal Optimist.
It's a great shot. Yeah. Here's another one
That was when
too.
she went back to college. Yeah.
That's a nice shot, the three ladies, huh? You
Yeah,
pick
that was when they were wedding dress shopping for India Moore's character Angel. Um, I mean, keep in mind that, all of these shots, most of them are all wigs on all of these actors. And as someone who comes from the theater, wigs were a specialty. So when we get into TV shows that are very wig driven, that's when I realized that there was such a opportunity for me to excel in this television world, because more and more these days people are leaning into wigs because it's easier and you can do all the prep ahead of time.
mm, that makes total sense. Look at this here, a little behind the scenes look here.
Yeah, that was from the Vogue shoot that we did. So this was an incredible shot of all the women, and we shot that on a day off. Those were all costumes from the show. We had done a royalty category on the show where everyone was dressed as royals, and these were all of the amazing gowns that Lou Eric, the costume designer who works with Ryan on everything, she put all this together, and it's so incredible.
Really nice. Some more shots too that we sort of dug up some random shots just to give people a variety of. I mean, there's so much more work over the years you've done, but just to give people sort of a taste of the variety of things you've had an opportunity to work on.
Yeah, I've really been fortunate to kind of do a little bit of everything. I try to remind myself of that because this industry, it's very easy to get lost in what everyone else is doing and trying to keep up with um, everyone else that works around you. And you have to be grateful for the journey and remember that your journey is unique and it's never going to line up and match the journey of someone else. And
Hmm.
each of these moments are blessings, and I've been able to do so much in my short career that I could never work again and feel completely fulfilled, because I really do enjoy what I do, and I feel like I've been gifted with all of these amazing opportunities.
Mm, that's a beautiful shot right there too.
Yeah,
That's
they did
really.
such a great job creating these old Hollywood photos.
Mm. And this is Queen Latifah, right in there? Yeah.
Yeah, that was Queen
Yeah.
Latifah. She came in and had a guest spot for one episode, and that's Laura again.
Really cool. There's so
She
many.
played Hattie McDaniels,
Oh,
who,
that's right.
won an Oscar and had didn't get to attend the ceremony. They escorted her in right before, because at the time, because she was black, she wasn't allowed in. It's just, one of those moments in the show where she was encouraging Laura's character to stand proud and to stand up for herself.
Here you can see scrolling, everybody. This is on Barry's website. Um, a plethora of different projects. Some shots you've seen us share here, but there's a ton of them. Of course, you also worked on. We had a couple of the folks who were in it. Um, Pam and Tommy. You were working on that
Yeah,
too, huh?
I did. That was with the same creative team from Chippendales. We did Pam and Tommy first. Rob Siegel wrote and created Pam and Tommy with um, a couple other people. DV Defense, Iron DV. I always say his last name
Yeah,
wrong,
right.
but um, they created that together, and it was such a incredible transformation to be a part of, because we took Lily James and turned her into Pam Anderson in one of the, I think, most notable transformations to date. And it really was magical to watch her embody everything about Pam Anderson on that, and Sebastian as well. Like, he really dove into his work with
Oh, yeah.
playing Tommy Lee. But such a wild journey. And then we went right from that into Chippendales not long after,
I can
and
see
that
that
was
on the
another
screen there. Yeah.
journey there. Yeah.
That was cool, huh?
It was cool. I mean, it was a story that I had followed for so long because I'd listened to all the podcasts, and not many people know the dark story that surrounds the Chippendales, but there's lots of, drugs, deceit, murder, that surround it, and it's a really interesting watch. And the cast is incredible.
Mm,
Kumail and Annalee and Murray Bartlett and
yeah.
Juliette Lewis, who is just incredible to work with. She's just one of those actors that is just a genius.
There's shots from Pam and Tommy that you're seeing scroll along there as well, which is kind of cool. Getting a chance to see a good variety of all of this, and everybody's saying stunning work and just loving.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody's loving it all. This is cool. By seeing the scroll, you see a variety of different. So being involved in television. Um, and Netflix, streaming, that whole world uh, is newer for you, but you've been able to master it. How would you, for folks watching, how would you describe working in television and doing the work in television as opposed to the work that you've done with theater and other, opportunities? Television, just you say do you have much more opportunity to be creative with television?
You do. I mean, obviously, in both mediums, you're telling a story, and you're portraying these stories through characters that are putting on costumes and being transformed into this world. So the basic setup to it is very similar because we are playing dress up every day, which is the magic about it. But on Broadway and in theater, once the show is set, that show opens, and it's that show for the rest of the run. It
Right.
doesn't change. So if you're working on that show exclusively, like, the work remains the same. But in TV, it's this fast-paced environment where every day is a new journey, and even though you've discussed the looks for a lot of the main cast, you have this entire other world of day players that come in and guest actors that you have to create looks for, on the go every day. And not only that, when you start a series, you're not generally.
Is that
Sorry,
Dinah?
my dog's. No,
Dinah,
that's
is
my
that
other two now.
oh, you have 2? An
I have three.
incredible, sounds like doing, tap dancing because all we're hearing is the
Yes.
clicking. It sounds like
I'm
he's doing a little
sorry.
no, it's great, it's fine. Just so they know what it is, but he's doing a little, tap
No, it's my
routine.
dogs. They're trying to convince me to stop doing this and go feed them.
Oh, oh, they haven't been fed yet. Ah.
They will be, but
Right,
they know it's too early. Um, but in TV, you're just constantly creating because the scripts are coming in real time. You don't generally have the full series up front. So even though you're shooting one thing that you've already designed, you've got a script coming in for the following episode that you have a whole nother laundry list of tasks that you need to check off your list. And that's what's exciting about TV, is that every day is a new adventure, and you never know what's next.
yeah.
You can anticipate it, you can think, but inevitably something always comes up last minute that you have to do problem solving and create something on the fly.
I would imagine too, you probably internally have your own list of shows that you would love to work on, people you would love to work with as well.
Yeah, there's always things that you see that you dream of. I mean, for me, I'm always drawn to anything historical or period based, because that, I feel like, is where my strengths lie, is kind of in recreating historical figures, but also jumping back in time and recreating the hairdos and hairstyles of different eras, because that's really where my training comes in. But I am always drawn to stories that are based on real events. especially stories that sort of center around voices that are often unheard,
Yeah.
underrepresented groups of people and stories that haven't been told.
Which is great, which is beautiful, because there certainly are a lot, right? There's a lot of opportunity for that to be celebrated, and you raise me up, lift it up for people to appreciate. And when you're involved in projects like that, it's really, really something something extra special, telling the stories in the way, because you're telling the story as much as the writers are and producers and everybody else, because it takes a village. You are, through your art, in the way that you're sort of just expressing yourself through your talent, is part of the whole thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's. Do you ever pinch yourself when you look at some of the people you've been working with and some of the shows from Broadway, movies, television you've had an opportunity to work on? Do you ever look in the mirror and say, "What is this a dream sequence on the Twilight Zone or something? I'm actually doing this."
I think that I've always been a very humble person, and
Yeah.
even in the moment, I always try to remain humble, because I know that every day is a blessing on this journey, and that nothing is promised to us in the future. And so I don't get caught up um,
All of
in the
the
moment, but
right.
I do have these moments of gratitude after the fact. I remember one particular time during season one of Pose. We had finished on set that day, and we got all the girls ready because we had our premiere that night. And we were still shooting, but we were shooting at Steiner Studios in Brooklyn, and we got all the girls ready for their first big premiere of season one. It was a huge event, and we were running late. They got in their cars. I got in my car and was driving into the city and just listening to some of the music that we use on the show. And I just had one of those moments where I just started crying in my car driving in New York, across the bridge from Brooklyn into Manhattan. And it wasn't sadness, it was gratitude. It was just like a smile on my face, tears running down my face, because someone who comes from a small town, very, modest beginnings, I never dreamed of anything like this. Like, I didn't think that anything like this was possible. So you have those moments where you are filled with gratitude, and it's just so much that it overwhelms you, because you look around and you're just like, how did I get here? How did this happen? And I still feel that way, every day, where I just think, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, whoever said I was supposed to be here, I certainly didn't see that for myself growing up. But I think that's what keeps you sane too in this business, though, is not to get lost in the glitz and glamour, and to
Mhm.
remember that these are real people that are here to celebrate their craft in the same way that I want to. And together as artists, we have the opportunity to create these great shows that impact people that are watching worldwide. And hopefully we can, change people's lives, change people's outlooks, with the work that we do, and make people stay a little brighter some days, or give people that boost of confidence they need in other days,
Absolutely.
because there's so many younger artists that I work with or talk to all the time on Instagram, or people who message me, and I just always try to remind them that, like, this is totally within anyone's reach. You just have
Mm.
to keep putting in the work, because I certainly 5 years ago didn't know that any of this was going to be in my future.
So you've been in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and seeing everything and being, experiencing it all. How has that Midwestern background kept you level-headed and grounded when you have all of this swirling around you, and people can get very lost in it all, and almost even start believing, some of the things that they hear. It seems really like you've got this foundation underneath that you can call upon even when things get a little nutty and crazy and unpredictable and weird, whatever goes on. And that goes on all the time in a lot of these industries. You can still pause and say, okay, here's my foundation. Here's who I am. I'll always still be Barry. You think that has helped, having that sort of rooted background?
It definitely does, because again, like I said, every opportunity that comes my way is another gift that I didn't ever dream of having. So I take all of that very seriously. But I think the moment that you let your ego take over and sort of drive you in this business is when you start to get lost. And that's when you lose yourself as an artist, you lose yourself as a person, because you're not doing the work um, for the right reasons. You're doing it for recognition, or you're doing it for praise. You're doing it, to show people, look what I'm doing. And the moment that you lose sight of that process and how lucky you are to even be doing it to begin with, is when I think you can get lost in this business and become someone that not everyone wants to be around, and it's easy to do, because it can be a very isolating industry, and you have to stay grounded and remember that you're an individual who's taking part in this. And when you step off that set every day, or step out of that trailer, you have your own life aside from it. And I've always maintained that, and not gotten caught up in the hustle and bustle of the industry, because at the end of the day, all of that can go away, and I still have to be Barry,
Hmm.
at home with my life, and not rely on any of that. So it's something that keeps me grounded, just to know that, I have my own foundation here, and I'm excited to be a part of every project, and so lucky. But when it's a wrap, it's a wrap.
Right. Yes, so you're good with being able to do that, right? Some people, they take it home and they're still living it at home, but you have the home and the personal life, and then you have the professional life, and you're able to keep those two worlds, well preserved and separated to a degree, which is great, huh?
It is. I think if you mix it too much, it can drive you mad, because
Yes.
it's easy to obsess over things and to bring your work home. But the more that I work in this industry, the more I've realized that you need that time to step away to recharge your creative brain. You need to, even if it's only the 6 hours you have away from set to go home that night and eat and sleep, you need that time where everything's shut off and you're just recharging. Because as an artist, like, you can't produce, you can't um, create if you don't have something to run off of. And that's when I think you can burn yourself out. And if you get lost in the business in that way, and then you stop producing quality work, and you just forget why you're doing it to begin with.
How has it changed, from what you've seen and even what you've heard before you're stepping into it? How has the industry changed as far as what you do? Is it more ramped up? Do things have to get done quicker? What have you found?
This industry is changing. I mean, it's changing a lot, since even in the 5 years that I've been in it. It seems like every production I start is a new journey, and it's a new challenge into this crazy world of production. I mean, television and film, they're making more money than ever before. And with the streaming services and the amount of revenue that's coming in, but they're also, cutting costs faster and faster on every production as they're making them. So you're being met with all of these obstacles when you're working on a production where they're questioning every nickel and dime that you spend, but they're expecting from you the same level of quality they got, 2 shows ago when the budgets were higher. And it's not that the money isn't there, it's just that I feel like the people who run Hollywood are becoming more and more greedy with the hoarding of wealth, and we all know that that happens in many industries, but specifically in this industry, there's this real disparity that exists in terms of pay and the way that money is spent in
Like a
Hollywood.
corporate culture type thing.
Yeah, and it's just, especially on these huge shows that are so fully designed, from the shoes the actors are wearing to the picture that's hanging on the wall behind them. Like everything is, handcrafted and built by artists who have dedicated their lives and a lot of money to building careers in these respective fields. And when you look at what an actor gets paid versus what an artist gets paid that's below the line, it's mind-boggling. Because I think people can look on to this life and think, everyone in Hollywood's rich. Everyone has a house in the hills and has a driver because they work with celebrities. But that's just truly not the way it is. We are, at the end of the day, nothing more than, set servants that come in and do our job and go home and get paid. We get paid decently, but it's not like we're buying many properties over here, because there is such a huge gap in pay between the people above the line and below the line, and it becomes more and more separated as every year passes. And I don't know why that is.
Seems to be happening in most of society too. You notice that? It's in all these industries.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of people saying, we're doing all the work and over here they're collecting the money, but they're not acknowledging or rewarding or celebrating all those people it takes to make the person that's up here that's collecting the money, look so good and everything work and everything happen. It's almost like you're forgetting all of the people that work, in the factory building the blocks that then make the thing that they can sell that makes the corporation rich. It seems to be, you hear a lot of different industries where people are complaining about that. There's a separate, instead of going like this, it's going more like that.
Well, and especially in Hollywood, they sell you a dream, right? So you will do anything to be a part of it. When I first started a few years ago, I wasn't thinking about salary or about hours. I wasn't thinking about any of that because I just wanted to be in the room. I wanted to be a part of the production. I wanted to make TV shows and movies that were impactful and were beautifully designed. And I just wanted to show up and be there. So that's where they get you, they are selling you this dream of come to Hollywood. And it's been happening since the beginning of Hollywood,
Beginning of time. Yeah.
and it's easy to get caught up in that dream. And all of a sudden, 10 years have passed and you realize that, you have lost out on a lot of money that could have been yours because of the dream. And people take advantage of the dream, and they take advantage of dreamers because they know that
You really love
you
it. And
thrive
yeah.
on the art.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
I think during COVID is when we finally had that first awakening collectively as a society, but especially in the entertainment industry, where we didn't work for many months and we all were fine. We all survived, and we started to look at things differently as artists, to question producers, to stand up for ourselves, and to start to demand our worth as much as possible. And that's something that's really important to me now, and to the people that I that work on my team, is that everyone's taken care of and that everyone's voices are heard, and that we're all, you know, getting the best deal that we can on any given production. And it's as great as this industry is, and as much as I have been blessed with so many great opportunities, it's not something that is worth me losing my sanity, my health, mental, physical, or my joy over. And I think that's the same for people in any industry. And I always try to remind people of that, that if you wake up and go to work and you don't feel joy of any kind, and um,
You're
there's
dreading
there's
it. And
nothing, yeah, that it's not for you. There's something else for you.
right.
And that's me speaking from, I know that tomorrow I could be waiting tables again, and I fully would, in a heartbeat. But I would demand of myself to find a job waiting tables that brought me joy, that was at a
Right.
place that I liked the food and the patrons,
The
because I
people
think,
and yeah.
yeah, I think that exists in any employment world, where you can find a space for you that isn't going to cause you to lose your sanity.
You mentioned early on that even before going into the area you're in, looking at being an actor, is that something that is still deep down that you would consider, you would pursue, you would embark on acting?
Definitely not.
He said that fast. He has seen it on the front lines.
No, it's
Yeah.
interesting. The moment I so I'm very much a realist, and I'm very honest with myself about uh, what I'm able to do, what's possible for me. And I did, when I moved to New York, because my mother, she's like, we spent all this money on school. You have to try the acting thing, because she didn't see yet that working with hair or makeup could be a career. She didn't understand that at that time. So I went to New York, and, you know, I got headshots taken. I went to some like casting calls, open calls. And that first, I remember I went into this dance call for Will Rogers Follies, this tour. And, I had not been to an audition since I left college. And I'd been working professionally doing hair and makeup. But I thought, hey, look, I'm going to do this for my mom. I'm going to go into this audition, this dance call in New York City. Hadn't taken a dance class in like a year. And it was the most humbling experience of my life, because I just knew in that moment, I'm like, this is not it. Like, you are not ready for this. And even in college, there were kids around me that were my classmates, who, I was a great singer and I trained as a singer from the time I was really young. But something shifted in college where I wasn't taking it as a seriously, partly because it was college and we were just having a good time. And also because I, had found this new calling. But even in college, I was like, there are other people in the school that are more talented than me. And if I don't have talent that's equivalent to the people that I look up to on Broadway right now, the people I admire and had grown up listening to, then I know that this isn't for me. Like, I want to be the best at what I'm doing, and it's it's not in the cards for me. And so I was honest with myself, and I just said, look, you can do this and try and work in some show here and there, and kill yourself trying to make it. And who knows, maybe my drive and my work ethic would have put me on a stage somewhere. But no, that left me many years ago. And the thought of it now just terrifies me. I
That's
still have nightmares once in a while about the old, you're on stage,
oh,
you're not in
yeah,
costume, you don't know the lines, but
right.
there's an audience. I don't know if you've ever had that nightmare, but
No, I'm lucky. I never had a problem as far as like speaking in front of people or presenting. I'm always looking for a way to bring people together. I'm always sort of sizing up the room the minute I walk in. And I'm always looking to add elements of humor. Even with the stiffest of groups and crowds, I'm always looking for some way to gingerly add in some humor because that links everybody. It's the icebreaker, and everybody's sort of, then everybody's equalized and we're all laughing. So I'm always looking for ways to bring people together to do that. Um, I've always had one more a dream where I end up flinching because I'm about to fall off a cliff. You ever have that one where
Oh
you're at
yeah,
the
I have.
edge of something and you feel the drop a little bit and you flinch, or a couple of times where I don't feel like I'm getting enough air because maybe I'm expelling so much during the course of the day. But those kinds of things, sometimes where you're being chased, you're
Right.
something is coming at you. I've had those kinds of things. Definitely the one where I'm falling off something, and then you flinch and you think you've almost fell off the bed, and you look and you didn't. But yeah, this may be going off the cliff a little bit. I don't know. Maybe because in these industries they demand us not to go off the cliff, to stay, to go up to the cliff and look, but don't go
Right.
over it. We have stunt people that can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the speaking for me hasn't been. I was blessed with the opportunity to be president of the debate team in college in New York. So I think that also, and then being on the air, radio, TV, that also helped with, honing the craft. I remember in the
Yeah.
beginning, a lot of people when they first start out, one of the first things I did was a commercial TV station, then a radio station, and then a public television station in New York on Long Island. And they used to hold up a sign underneath the camera for everybody that was starting out, smile. Because so many people, when they first start out and they go on camera, they're not smiling. They think they are, but they're thinking about being perfect, and the
Yeah.
camera's on them and everybody's watching. And this is the big moment. And I got to get all the words that I'm either reading on a teleprompter or that I'm ad libbing. They got to make sense. They got to flow. So in the beginning, you're thinking about all of that. So they would hold up these smile signs for everybody, and they'd be going on the side of the camera for everybody, smile, smile. And everybody would think that they were, which is funny. Then you get to the point, as you know, as an expert at what you do something long enough where I absolutely love when things go awry in the studio, where things are not, the camera shot's not working, or they're telling you got to stretch because they're not ready to go back to the show, or the co-host fell ill, or the set fell down, the wall fell down behind you, or things are just not happening as smoothly as they want. And you can hear in your IFB some choice words happening with the director. What the hell? Where's the take? Oh, what? Jim, just keep going. Just keep going. And I think having that happen too, um, now I love it. That's a challenge. You throw me out there when there's nutty things happening on stage or on set or on air, and I love it. And what's ironic about that is I do everything in life to prevent that. I'm the person that's always trying to prevent problems, stop the leak before it even leaks, try to think ahead so things don't go awry like that. And because I never loved chaos and surprises and all of that. However, I always run to them when they happen. I'm always like that person that's in there and figuring it out and making it come together, which I think is kind of cool. When we're tested throughout our lives as we're constantly learning and honing our craft. When you look at Barry now versus Barry first starting out, and the development of your expertise and your artfulness and your eye, and developing this repertoire of fabulous people that you've really been working with in an amazing way. What would Barry now say to the Barry that was first starting out, first putting the foot, out and saying, okay, I think I'm going to give this a try, and I'm going to leave Wisconsin and go to Chicago and then New York and then LA. What would he say to the earlier Barry?
See, I think the earlier Barry should tell me now just to relax a little bit and to have a little bit more fun. Because I often think that the younger version of myself, the drive and the tenacity that I had in my early 20s, and I think we all go through this as you get older, you start to miss that youthful spirit, and that you don't have a fear of anything. Anything is possible. You are unstoppable. You're willing to try anything.
Morning, noon, and
Because
night, and travel, and
yeah,
all of it. Yeah.
and whatever it takes. But as you get older, you become a little bit more self-aware, a little more self-critical, perhaps. And especially in this industry, there's so much competition out around you that you are always looking at yourself with a critical eye. And I do try to remind myself sometimes just to remember what it was like to be young. I often wish I could go back to college and just live in that headspace for a few days, because that was the ultimate place to be, just truly free. And although there were so many obstacles at that time and nothing was real, you're just out of high school and you're just playing at school every day. Finding yourself and trying to figure out what's next. There's not as much stress on you at that time. So I try to revisit myself at that moment. But I also wish that I could go back and tell myself to find my focus a little bit sooner. Because I think I did kind of, let that youthful abandon just run wild for a while without finding my focus as fast as maybe I could have. But I also think that's what shaped the journey to where I'm at today, because I was all over the place for so many years and just trying anything and everything, without caution. I just jumped at every opportunity because I wasn't afraid, and I thought, why not? Why not try this?
Right.
And I think that led me to where I am today.
So have you
But
been able to develop more boundaries now? More for Barry?
I have. I mean, I'm a very like regimented person now. I have boundaries with my personal life, uh, but I also, part of my journey is sobriety. So I have been sober for 7 years in January,
Congratulations. That's
and
fantastic.
thank you. And part of that journey was directly tied to my work, because working in the entertainment industry, uh, especially what I was doing, touring and traveling around the world and doing all these amazing things, that lifestyle was part of the journey. That was part of the job. We were having fun, we were young, but it's easy to get lost in that world, especially in New York City, where every night can become a party if you want it to. And through my journey with alcohol, um, it was fun in the beginning when I was younger, but then when I became more of an adult and the stresses of the industry weighed on me, and just my sort of resentment towards the work I was doing and just feeling like I had plateaued and all of these things, you can start to manifest that into, isolation. And I was just got a little bit lost in that life. And when I left Broadway and all of these things, I quit everything at once. Like I stopped drinking, I became a vegan, and then I started working in TV. So all of these things shifted, and that's when my life truly shifted and entered the next chapter. Because with a clear mind and a clear heart, I was able to really evaluate who I was as a person, as an artist, and where I wanted my future to be. And I knew that I didn't want my future to be what it was in the moment that I decided to quit drinking, because it was only going to get worse. And that was for me like something I had to, again, being a realist, saying, acting's not for you, like alcohol's not for you.
Right. Right. Right.
So I had to, say goodbye to another thing. And it was the best thing that I ever did, because it gave me so many gifts that I wouldn't have had I continued down that road,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
because here I am today, looking at two Emmys sitting across the room from me, and looking at all these photos with you even. And it's so amazing to see what I've been able to accomplish just by showing up, not just for my work, but for myself. And I think that that's a valuable lesson for anyone. It's just to always show up for yourself, because regardless of what your family needs or what your coworkers need or your boss needs, if you don't show up for yourself first, you're never going to be able to show up for anybody else.
I had to learn that by driving alone after a television shoot, alone in a rental car in Death Valley in August a couple of years ago.
Gosh,
Because I would always, I mentioned a couple of times on this show, but I would always cringe when I would hear the flight attendants say, put the mask on you first before you help the person sitting next to you. And I was of the ilk, and the way we were raised was, help thy neighbor, and, help thy
right,
fellow man. And we're all in this together. And, it's not always just about you, but help them. And then it's reciprocal and all this. And then by driving alone through Death Valley, one of the many life-changing things that came out of doing that, with nobody on planet Earth knowing I was doing it in a rental car in August, was that you have to put the mask on you first, so you have the oxygen to be able to then help the others that are around you. And I was always thinking, when I would hear them say that, boy, how greedy that is, how selfish this is. Grab the mask and put it on you first before you even consider helping that person next to you. I always would be like, I don't like that. I'd be cringing a little bit. Now, when I'm on the plane and I hear it, about 8% of me still does say, wait a minute, that's not, wait, no, you do have to. And they have to put the mask on themselves first. We all have to put the
right,
oxygen mask on ourselves first, and then help each other. Somebody needs some, or, is a cake in front of us, everybody get a nice equal slice of it. But it took doing something risky and crazy and nutty and unscripted and wacky to have that happen for me. Because for me, here on the coasts, the ocean is my go-to. I go to the ocean, swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, and the ocean is a huge thing for me. I get a lot of energy and connection and life, and the expansiveness of it, the power of it, the beauty of it, participating in it is huge for me. So I couldn't get that from an ocean. I wouldn't be able to get it from a lush forest or a botanical garden, or even a city with skyscrapers where there's life and action. It had to be a stripped raw earth where it was just me and the desert to really have that sink in, and be able to create some boundaries without feeling guilty to create boundaries. Not always saying yes, not always being available 24/7, like you probably always did. And I've definitely done the same thing. Then you look and say, okay, well, that's great, but it's now 1 a.m. and When do I get to eat?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is thinking about you as much as we think that everyone else is thinking about us. No one is. And I think that's something that I've had to learn the hard way over the years, is that I'm responsible for my own existence and my own happiness. And you will meet people along the way that are going to be looking out for you, but you can't rely on that. And um, you just got to take care of yourself and find that outlet, like you said, going to the ocean or whatever it is for you. That's why I love living in California, because I can get in my Jeep and drive anywhere I want to and disappear in a half an hour and be alone, completely surrounded by nature. And in New York, you don't get that. You got to deal with 2 hours of traffic before you can reach that little piece of nature. And it's just not quite the same. New York is magical, but that's what I didn't have in New York either, was that sort of, cleansing connection with nature that you get here in
Yeah.
California.
24/7, go, 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 go. Yeah. The energy
Yeah.
of the city. Yeah. It's right. It can, some people, you can live in it, but somehow they manage to do that. And they just got a certain way of doing it. And then sometimes it can really be, any major city sometimes can really be, you got to get out and you got to get the fresh air and you got to see horses and cows and
Yeah,
nature.
exactly.
You got to really do that. And, you love what you do. What are some of those continued blessings and joy in your life, those joys that keep you doing it through all of this that we just talked about, all the, sort of crevices and nooks and crannies of doing it all? What keeps you going forward?
I think there's nothing better than seeing an actor transform in your chair and watching, especially with women, the power that hair and makeup has to affect someone's mood, spirit, the joy that they're sitting in that day. We have the power to take someone from, the worst morning of their life to the best day of their life, just by doing what we do best, which is making them look beautiful. There's a real power in beauty. And it's not only the way they look, but it's also the way that you make them feel. As a hairstylist or a makeup artist, part of your job is to be a calming person and a calming center for the people that sit in your chair or the people that interact with you throughout the day. And so much of the work that we do is just grounding um, our actors and creating a safe space for them, because that's where they start their day and that's where they finish their day. We set the tone for what's ahead, because so much that happens on a Hollywood set is challenging and long and toxic at times, that you really have to be centered in order to get through an 18-hour day with that sort of energy. Plus, as an actor, you're not only worrying about all of the elements surrounding you, but you have all of these lines to deliver, and over and over and over again, multiple camera angles, and just the monotony of that and keeping things fresh. Like, you need a support system. But I think what's most rewarding about what I do is just what we're able to do to transform someone's look, but also their soul and spirit, by the end of a production. Because there's
Oh,
nothing like putting a wig on someone for the first time and taking them into this world of a character they've been dreaming about for months as they read the script, and then you're able to bring that vision to life after collaborating with this actor, the director, the creators, and you're able to, with your hands and some hair, bring it to life and just watch them transform and watch their eyes light up for the first time and truly embody that character. There's nothing like it.
It's really amazing, isn't it? It's really, now that's a cool shot with
Yeah, that's the cover of Vanity Fair that came out this year. When we shot it, we used a stuffed tiger, like a stuffed animal, just as a space holder.
look how
And
realistic it looks.
well, they shot a real tiger, but they
Yeah.
shot the tiger separately and
Yeah.
then
Oh,
connected the two
and then
images
put
in
the two.
post.
Wow. Even the tiger likes to pose.
Yeah,
To
I
get
mean,
a
they
tiger
had
to do that.
for
Yeah.
all the different setups for that, they had, I think, a bathtub full of swans that they had to shoot the swans separately from the actor. I think it was Benedict Cumberbatch who had that cover, but
Uh,
just all kinds of different elements.
really cool stuff, huh? It's like we're saying, it's what do you love about what you do? Of the many things that you get a chance to do with all these great people, are there a few things that really stand out for you? Like you said, you do get a chance to really take these folks who may have had a bad day or whatever's going on in their life, and during the time that you're with them, they're able to, you help them transform into the character that they have to become, which is a beautiful thing. You must feel a great responsibility that you're tasked with in doing what you do, uh, like others that have the things that they do when you're on set, behind the scenes, whatever case may be, doing what you need to do. Must really feel a sense of responsibility, because that's part of the look. That's what people are going to see, and they're depending on your expertise to make it happen, make the magic.
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge responsibility to execute the design thoughtfully with care. Um, but there's also responsibility to protect the actor and make sure that they're uh, taken care of throughout the day, because we spend, out of all of the people on a film set, hair and makeup and wardrobe, we spend the most time with the actors throughout the day, because we're the first person that they see and the last person they see at night.
Right.
And we're with them all day long on set, between takes, touching up, all of these things. So we're really that support system that travels with them throughout the entire day. So you really have to create a safe space for them and to have their best interests in mind. Because yes, you're doing their hair and makeup or getting them dressed, whatever your specific task is, but you're also, protecting them from all of these external elements that are trying to sabotage the day in some
Yes.
way, shape, or form,
Hmm.
because inevitably something is always working against us on set. There's always a hurdle to jump over. And we have to, stick together as a unit and make sure that the actor's day goes as smoothly as possible, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. Absolutely. What are some other things you have coming up that you're excited about coming in the new year?
So we start season 2 of Loot on Apple TV, which is a show starring Maya Rudolph, uh, Michaela J. Rodriguez from Pose, Joel Kim Booster, who just had success with Fire Island,
That's
the movie
right.
that just came out. Um, Also on the show is Nat Faxton and Ron Funches, a really great group of comedians. And season 1 was a big hit for Apple TV, so they got renewed pretty quickly for a second season. And it's an office place comedy that is sort of uh, based loosely like on the story of Melinda Gates kind of vibe, where Maya Rudolph's character goes through a sudden divorce, unexpected divorce from her husband, and in the settlement receives $89 billion and becomes one of the richest women in the world. And how she comes to learn of a nonprofit that her name is on, and decides that she wants to give back and start working with this nonprofit, but realizes quickly that as a billionaire, she knows absolutely nothing about what it takes to show up um, for an 8-hour day of work, let alone make an impact in the way that the people at the nonprofit are. So season one kind of covers her journey of, you know, leveling down her life a bit and realizing that there's so much good to be done with the money that she has. And season two will pick up from there, I'm sure.
That's
It's a
cool.
really funny show, but it's also very thoughtful, and it has a really amazing diverse cast, and it touches base on a lot of issues that exist today in society, and it's done with kind of a comedic lens.
Yeah.
But it's a great group of actors, and Alan Yang and Matt Hubbard, who worked on Parks and Rec and 30 Rock, they're the head writers and showrunners, and they're great guys.
That's cool. That's exciting. We'll keep abreast of all the cool things that you're working on. BarryLeeMoe.com is the website. Fabulous website, gang. You can take a look at some of the other work that he's done and is doing. And of course, our buddy, Glenn Hansen, another incredible artiste as well, sort of connecting. And I know he said he was going to be watching as well. We say hello to him. And
He's such an amazing artist.
isn't he extraordinary? He's just,
Yeah,
and
everything he does, and he's such a nice guy too.
we had a similar conversation, and he was surrounded by his art in the room that he was in, and it was just really cool. And then he sent me some beautiful pieces, which one of them was Johnny Carson, which was really, really
Oh
cool.
wow.
Yeah, the host extraordinaire there, and that was really cool. And a couple of other pieces, and it was really nice for him to do that. And I wish
I
you
have
nothing.
portraits of all
Oh
the
yeah,
characters from Pose that Glenn
do
did.
you really?
Yeah, they're really amazing.
That's got to be fantastic. Do you have them? Are they framed, or you just have them in a book, or
I haven't framed them yet. I have the intentions of doing a room at some point with all of the sort of,
show things
different
you've worked
things
on?
that I've
Yeah,
done. Yeah, I just
yeah.
haven't had the time or space to do it, but I will eventually. But they're all packed away safely.
They're all safe and sound. Well,
Yes.
this was really, really cool, my friend. Really a pleasure getting a chance to explore and celebrate your work here on the Jim Masters Show. Have a few laughs, a lot of interactivity. The viewers have been commenting, left and right. Crystal, who's watching in Connecticut. Thank you, Barry, for sharing your career and talents with us. You are truly remarkable. I wish you continued success in all you do. God bless you. That's Crystal in Connecticut, USA, Jane in Sweden. Thank you, Barry, for being here tonight. Thanks, Jim. Our pleasure. Maureen in Arizona, USA. Barry, you definitely have a bright future ahead of you. And my best hope is that your star continues to shine. Keep on keeping on. Jen always asks, she is in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Do you prefer the magical ocean, or she says she's a mountain person. She loves the mountains. So she sometimes asks the guests, do they like the mountains or do they like the ocean? So she's a
I'm definitely
mountain.
an ocean person.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
I'm very drawn to the ocean, water. I mean, but I did go to Tahoe for the first time last year and hiked up in the mountains there.
It's nice.
Yeah, and incredible hidden lakes everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as there's water around, I can do
You're good.
mountains if there's water.
Right. Right. Exactly. Sherry in Kansas says, thank you for sharing your wonderful career with us tonight, Barry. Best wishes in all you do in the future. You're at the beginning of a fantastic career. That's right. You heard it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Cool stuff from a few of the lovities here and those who will watch later on. Gang, if you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave a comment on our YouTube channel, subscribe, and all the rest. Barry, I hope the show met whatever expectations you had and you enjoyed the
It was
time with
so
me.
fun. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
Absolutely. This was such a nice way to spend a Friday afternoon.
Appreciate that. And yeah, I right back at you. It was really, really cool. And hope we get a chance to break bread in person, perhaps if you're ever back east or if I'm on a shoot or
Yes.
something. in the LA area, I will certainly do that. And I'm headed out to California in January, but we're going to be way up in Napa and
Oh,
Sacramento
nice.
and up through there. Yeah. Looking forward to that after the holidays, but enjoy some of that downtime, breathe, all the things we were just talking about, enjoy, the family. And I think Merlin in Canada, she said, boy, the dogs are really quiet all of a sudden, considering they haven't had supper yet. All of a sudden they're nice and like,
It's interesting. They go from like this mode of panic and frenzy to just wearing themselves out, and now they're all passed out,
and now they're all
sleeping.
past.
But soon enough, they'll all be up again.
Well, we will keep the porch light on for you, my friend. Really, really a pleasure having you here. And
Likewise.
spread the word about our show, like Glenn and others have. And it sounds like they're waking up now, huh? A little bit.
Yeah, they heard you guys, I guess, even though the sound's only in my ear.
Right. They understand the English language. They said, who's sleeping? We're not sleeping. We're waiting to eat. It really sounds like somebody's, doing tap dancing. It's really cool. You
It's
just
my oldest dog. It's his nails on the hardwood floor. He's trying to get up on the couch and he can't figure it out.
Can't figure it out. Sounds like that, or somebody typing, You're
It could be that too.
You're in a newsroom. You be well, my friend. Happy holidays to you. Best of the holidays and the new year. And we'll see you again soon, okay?
Yes, indeed. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is really nice.
It was a blessing and a blast. And thanks for all the time that you shared with us here on the show, my friend. You take care and be well.
Thanks, Jim. You too.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Barry Lee Moe here on the Jim Masters Show. Yeah, really cool conversation, right? In many different directions. As we say, we don't script these. They're pretty much ad lib. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask. I sometimes don't even know what I'm going to ask. I just go with the flow of the conversation. And that's why we don't call these interviews. We do call these conversations, and we have a blast. Thanks for watching, everybody, and all the great comments that were coming in live during the show, and we really appreciate that. We value every comment and every moment that you take to express how much you're enjoying what we're doing here at the Jim Masters Show. We wish you continued beautiful holiday season, all the blessings of the season. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, and everything in between. And I hope you're enjoying, as we're in the midst of the holiday season, a great conversation with real artists, but like some of you were saying in the comments, incredibly humble too, right? You might have thought when you saw, renowned celebrity hairstylists, that you were going to have somebody on that was going to be like, all right, okay, it's all about me. Jim, you can back off now. Let me tell you about me. That's not Barry. The Midwestern values are still there. He's a go-getter, and he's incredibly passionate and enthusiastic, and he's a master at his craft, but he's got the humble nature that I think is very refreshing, right? He was very open and very authentic and real and honest. That is also very refreshing as well. We thank him for joining us here on the show. As I mentioned, BarryLeeMoe.com is the website if you want to check out some of his other work, which is really, really cool. And I do want to let you know, boy, do we have some really additional, I should say, because every guest who's come through the Jim Masters Show Lovity Hall series here has been absolutely spectacular. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guests that have stopped by for a chat, some laughs, poignant moments, and entertainment, and all the rest. We've got some amazing people that are going to be stopping by as well, in addition to Barry joining us from LA and Hollywood tonight. Let me show you some of the folks that are coming up tomorrow. Lots of great music from an extraordinary talent, acclaimed contemporary jazz artist, musician, and music director. The one and only Jay Rowe is joining us tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. He's worked with all of the greats. He's one of the greats himself. He's got a fabulous new Christmas CD out. Matter of fact, he sent it to me. I've been playing it left and right. Absolutely love it. His music's all over the radio. He's worked with some of the giants in the business. He's one of the giants. He's a dear friend, actually. And he's coming on tomorrow. That's Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's a special time earlier. So for our international viewers, You're probably very excited because it's going to be earlier for you, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Sunday at a special time. For the first time on the Jim Masters Show series, the Celtic Tenors are going to be here. A couple of the guys from the Celtic Tenors, Daryl and Matthew, will be with us. World-renowned Irish classical crossover trio, extraordinary talents. And they're going to be with us on Sunday. Really, really cool. They're promoting it and they're spreading the word. We appreciate them doing that. Incredible voices. And they're going to join us this Sunday live from Ireland at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific. So it's 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. It'll be 6 p.m. for folks watching in Ireland, Scotland, UK, I believe Spain and France. And then folks that are in like Sweden and Norway and Finland further in, I believe that's about 7 p.m. for them. But for where we're broadcasting out of here, the New York area in the United States, it is going to be 1 p.m. Eastern here. And that's this Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's live. So the guys will be with us live, and you can participate, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to chat in our exclusive JMS Lovity chat room as well. So that's coming up on, that's really exciting. That's coming up on Sunday, and we're really excited about that. So really a lot of cool things that are happening, and we've got amazing guests on Monday. A little preview of Monday. Monday, we've got a brilliant actor who has starred in some of the most iconic series that are popular now. Of course, Yellowstone, which is really popular. The Orville, This Is Us on NBC, even iCarly, The Impeachment, all of these epic shows and these epic series. Eric Satterberg is going to be with us, a brilliant actor, and he's going to be with us Monday live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Again, he's starring in everything. Yellowstone is one of the biggest hits out there right now. Of course, This Is Us on NBC, a beloved series, and on and on and on. So many great shows, epic shows he's in as an actor, and he's going to be with us on Monday. We're looking forward to that, and many, 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 many more. Cool stuff, huh? And wow, look at all these great comments that are piling in here. Good stuff. You guys are great. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Crystal, always good to see you here on the Jim Masters Show. We appreciate your love and your support and sharing the links and spreading the word. You're definitely a lovity, Crystal. You've been with us for a long time. Crystal has been with the show for a long time, almost towards the beginning, I would say, almost towards the very beginning of the series 2.5 years ago. Crystal Nolan has been tried and true, and she's here when she's around, and we really appreciate that. So good to see you, Crystal, as always, and everybody that's here. We love it. Miss Pat in Texas, she's on fire with her comments. Wonderful show. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Miss Pat in Texas. And Jane, thank you as well. And Maureen says, after getting 9 hours of sleep last night, yes, 9 hours, I had a very productive day getting ready for Christmas. It's so nice to be in Lovity Hall to unwind. Thank you, Jim, for a fabulous show. Thank you for being here. And Maureen, thank you for the comments that you've been leaving on our YouTube channel underneath the episodes. Thank you for that. Merlin does that a lot as well. We appreciate that. Actually, when you take time to leave a comment on the YouTube channel itself, not just in the chat room, but on the YouTube channel, that really helps us big time. So be sure and leave a comment underneath the episode on all these great episodes. We really appreciate you guys doing that. And you guys are great. Thanks for all these great comments. Everybody's saying good night and hello to each other. It's like one big lovely family there that was created when we turned the lights on. Thank you, Sherry and Jen Barry there in Pennsylvania. You got 2 ocean lovers tonight. I know you're keeping track, and good stuff. Gang, we appreciate you being here, and we welcome you all. If this is the very first time you're joining the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series, it's good to have you with us. It's a pleasure. You're now part of the Lovity family, and spread the word about our show. This is what we do. And, sometimes we just kick back and have really good conversations. Sometimes the shows are really fast paced and all kinds of entertainment. Saturday, tomorrow, with Jay Rowe, contemporary jazz, acclaimed contemporary jazz musician and more. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a lively show, putting you in the holiday spirit. Yes. And we are working on a Christmas episode that's coming soon, and some surprise guests as well. So all kinds of cool things we're doing as our set still pops and everything looks good. I don't know if you see there's some gifts over here too. There's a bunch of gifts there. I don't know if I'm blocking them, and the poinsettias. And there's George Burns right there. He's sort of napping, or he's hiding in the poinsettia there. And yeah, I haven't had dinner yet, and it's 9:08 p.m. Eastern time. I think we do have to have some dinner. I got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow because we have a TV shoot. We have a guest for my professional work, the television news magazine series that I host. Actually, I co-host it with my longtime colleague and friend, Doug Llewellyn, who hosts the People's Court series. If you watch the People's Court and you see Doug Llewellyn, he and I have been working together for years with a television show that we do and a daily radio series out of New York. And one of the guests is coming in to the region, and we're going to be interviewing her with the television news series. So got to get some scripts and good things together. Good stuff coming up. Have a great weekend, everyone. God bless. You too as well. We'll be back tomorrow and Sunday for you. Yeah, we're looking forward to some time with family over the holidays. We cannot wait, but we have lots of shows coming up for you between now and then, and even during. To Jim and all of you, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Tightest of lovely hugs to each from Maureen. And cool stuff. You guys are great. Thanks for everything that you do and everything that you say. And you're the best. Lovities rule, right? Lovities rule. And we appreciate your joining us here one more time. Thanks to Barry for joining us, Barry Lee Moe. And thanks to all of you. Don't forget to give this episode a hearty like. There's a thumbs up there on the YouTube channel. We would really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up like. Leave a comment for us on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that famous red subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything when you do. Really does help us grow. And then you're a part of the Lovity family here at the Jim Masters Show. This is Jim Masters, your host. We don't say goodbye around here. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers. Hasta la vista. What else do we say? Buenos noches. Slancha. Sayonara. Shalom. I'm not reading any of this. I'm trying to remember it all. Moi loop. Ciao, cheers. All of it. And I should write it all out in every language there is. But there's some good ones there you can play with. And don't forget to relax. We always say don't forget to relax. So we're going to say that right now. Move a few things around here on set so we don't drop anything, like this famous sign here. We talked about this tonight. Actually, Barry Lee talked about it. Ways to relax in these demanding industries. Whatever you do, whether you're immersed in work and career or you're retired, hey, relax. Just relax and breathe. Take time for yourself and enjoy life. Life is short. Life is precious. And as we know, it goes by in a fleeting moment. So make sure you take time for yourself and share the lovity with the world. Tell everybody you know about our show. We really appreciate that. Eat, relax, get some sleep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jim, I'm now microwaving Stouffer's mac and cheese. I should make them a sponsor. Stouffer's mac and cheese. That sounds good about now. Cheerio. Yes, I should with the master's last name. I should be saying Cheerio, right? Cheerio. Yes. No, tomorrow is at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So not 7 p.m., 4 Pacific. Tomorrow's show is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, for those that are watching live, I'm talking, to the live audience. So for you, it'll be, I think in Sweden, it'll be 7 at night, something like that. No. 3 Eastern. That's Sunday. That's Sunday with the Celtic Tenors. That's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, our time here, which will be 7 p.m., I believe, for you in Sweden. 3 p.m. Eastern here is 9 p.m., I believe, for you there in Sweden. I believe so. So hopefully you'll catch us live or Memorex, archived with all the great guests we have coming up. All right, we'll see you soon, okay? Don't forget to strike your pose and enjoy life. We'll see you again on the next episode. Cheerio, as Kathleen has added into the mix of see you laters that we like to add in on the show. We love you all. Take care and be well. Thanks for being with us on this episode. We really value and appreciate every single one of you. We have such a wide and varied audience, all ages, all backgrounds, all zip codes, all demographics that watch our series. And we thank you for being here. We love it. And we love you all. Take care and be well. Cheerio and cheers. See you on the next episode of the Jim Masters Show.